I interview other people. All right, everybody, shalom and welcome. We are going live right now here from Judea. We're going to start the show in just a minute. Malkah, let's just make sure that we're in good shape here and look out here for a second. I want to make sure that the screen is in good shape. All right. How's that? It's a little bit better.
How are we
there.
looking?
Yeah, that's right. People can definitely tell us how is it looking going live, and we're starting in a minute. Yeah, that's better. All right, everybody. Come into the show right now. I'm waiting for everybody to join for just a minute. In the meantime, get ready, get comfortable,
Get
comfortable.
Coffee,
That's right.
Get your croissant or your little cheese Danish going.
That's right, Malkah. And please do me a
Maybe
favor.
Gluten-free, a little banana with some peanut butter.
Malkah, the mic is.
Well, I can't look at the mic and look at the camera at the same time.
Just talk right towards the mic, okay?
I'll go like this. Does this look normal?
It looks a little funky.
Okay. When you look into the camera, the mic's right in front of you.
Well, I can move the computer and stuff, but I think we got to be careful because sometimes these connections are a little bit
so gentle.
Right. I think let's just leave it as is, and I hope the mic catches. Everybody that's out there, I want to hear your take on how the sound is sounding. We have our new green screen up, thanks to my brother Joshua Fleischer. So hey, there's Ari Abramowitz. That's really cool. He says. He says, if loving these two heroes of Israel is a crime, I belong in prison. That's the great Ari Abramowitz. And there's Erakat. That's right, from the Land of Israel Network. And Erakat from Sweden says, Shalom Chaverim, you are so cute. I love you. We love you right back. All right. And Shlomo Alguera says, super nice background related to the parasha. I think he meant that. You guys got your own studio. That's right.
Maybe he does mean the parades.
Is that what he means? I think he does not mean that. And also, Golda Yisrael Reuven says shalom. And I am very happy about this. Lou Weiss says, love this background.
Thanks.
So we are really...
We're going to do more backgrounds.
Yeah, we're going to do more backgrounds. I got a whole beautiful green screen behind me here. Let's start the show together, folks. Shalom and welcome to the Yishai Fleischer Show, broadcasting live from Judea to the world. You're a part of it wherever you are. And shalom to the various ways that we're broadcasting. Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, and of course the Land of Israel Network and YishaiFleischer.com. Thank you so much for being with us. And it's a great, it's been a very interesting week, and it's a great Torah portion as well. And I am wearing, you could see in the background if you're watching us on the Facebook or whatever, you could see the background of the Ark, Noah's Ark, and I'm wearing this week. People can see my Lego rainbow watch. All right. My Lego, look at that. It does something funny.
It becomes a little green because you have a green Lego.
That's right. Check that out.
Yeah.
And that is because, of course, it is the Torah portion of the rainbow. Now, the rainbow isn't necessarily a great image sometimes. Why is it not a great image? Because it reminds God of why he destroyed and won't destroy the world again. And in fact, our sages tell us that there were generations that didn't have a rainbow because they had a great righteous person living in that time. But be it as it may, we probably don't have such great righteous people. We just got to do the best we can. But here's the rainbow on the watch, and it gets you going. I love this Torah portion, Malkah. It gets me very excited. It's very iconic, and it's got this thing like the world gets saved, and all around is a maelstrom. All around is a big, as we say in Hebrew. Here's the Hebrew word of the day, balagan.
Balagan. That's an important one in Hebrew today.
Right. Which means like big fat mess. Like a big confused world, and that's what it feels like sometimes.
You could use balagan though, like in the real slangy slang. You really could use balagan as like that party was a balagan.
Right, that was an awesome party. It's a balagan, but generally no.
But not really. Generally, it's usually your room is a balagan. Clean it up.
That's right.
Like that.
So the world was a balagan at the time of Noach. And it was saved through really this one ark. One way of thinking about it is that the world got destroyed. But another way of thinking about it is the world was saved. And it goes to show you that every single one of us can kind of save the world, save our world. Also shows you that there's something about a nuclear family, about the most basic unit of mankind is the family.
Right. The Torah repeats this idea over and over again. Really, it's a lot about the families.
It's a lot about the family. Yeah, the family
You got Noach and his family.
Yeah.
You got Abraham and his family. You got Moshe and his family.
Yeah. sometimes in our lives when things are messy outside, we just come home, and that's why it's so important to have the home be a safe place where you come home. Yesterday, came home, was a little bit frustrated, kicked back a beer, okay, and that was
Brought you out some ice cream.
That's right.
Little cookies and cream.
Well, that's right. That cookies and cream was not for me personally. It was actually for our daughter Leah's 13th birthday. So mazal tov to you,
Mazal
Malkah,
tov,
for
yes.
having a.
Some of our listeners have been listening since Leah Bat Zion, since before Leah Bat Zion was born. And she turned 13. I did a ton of crying. I'll probably do some more crying. But it's good crying. Well, yeah, it's good crying. It's a thing when your kids are growing up. It's beautiful and you want them to grow up, but also, they're not small. Now she's a teen. I know I look really good for the mother of a teenager, right?
Yes, absolutely. That you surprised me with that. Speaking of somebody who's not looking so good right now is Saib Erakat,
Right.
Who is, I think,
PLO chief negotiator.
Chief negotiator, which is like what I do also. I'm also the chief negotiator.
So he's like your arch nemesis.
He's one of them. I just think he's like he's from a previous generation a little bit, and I just don't see him as he is a nemesis, I think, but he's being treated right now in an Israeli hospital.
For complications due to coronavirus.
Right, and he's got it bad. He already had a lung transplant, and so he's definitely a person with what they call high risk. And there's been a lot of hubbub about that. There's been a lot of talk about that. I think that Davida Ivri has found a fabulous term for what he really represents, other than like terrorist, nemesis, and all that. He calls him anti-normalization. An anti-normalization Saib Erakat. I like that very much because I think we're in a moment where like the big sweeping movement where the overarching atmosphere can be the Abraham Accords, but then you have people like Saib Erakat who are anti-normalization and just want to hold on to the old way, the old conflict, which they've
made.
He
made the old conflict.
Right, and he also made
He created the old conflict. He was one of the people who was behind the conflict. Conflict is such a it's such a denuded word. It's like what you mean is the grisly, bloody, rage-filled fight between our Israeli Jewish people and his people, in which he manipulated them into attacking our people in the most vicious ways. His heyday, Yishai, was during bus bombings, when people would strap a bomb to themselves, which is cynical enough, and then go onto a bus and blow up grandmothers and little children. Right? And it's in order to what? They, first of all, fail. Baruch Hashem, right? Fail.
Failed in...
It was a failed move. He didn't achieve the things that he wanted. He didn't get what he wanted. Although he was one of the main writers planners behind the Oslo Accords, which was a big setback for Israel.
Right, but what is it that he wanted? On a personal level, he's only gained and gained and gained.
Right.
He's only gained millions of embezzled dollars. And now when he's sick, he goes to his enemy without any problem.
The enemy that he, up until 5 seconds ago, was telling people don't use their stuff. Don't buy their stuff. Don't work with them. Don't have their students at your universities. Don't take them seriously in any of their fields of expertise. Shut them out. And now, look who's not feeling so good. And he was offered, by the way, to go to a Jordanian hospital.
Right.
Now, a few years ago, he had Jordanian citizenship. I don't know. Jordan was going through a process of revoking the citizenship of Erakat, Mahmoud Abbas, and a few other big Palestinian Authority officials. I don't know if it ever officially was done, signed and sealed, if he lost altogether his Jordanian citizenship. But his doctor was like, "You want to go to Jordan to get medical treatment?" And he's like, no. He wants to go to...
I want to live.
I want to make it. So I want to go to a nice... Jewish Hadassah. Now, what's Hadassah? Imagine every woman in New York, giving her her money after she went to Saks Fifth Avenue. She gave some money to Hadassah, and people all around, nice Jewish people all around the world who gave money to build hospitals. I had an experience recently with Hadassah Hospital, the very same one that Erakat just went to. I went to deal with the shoulder. Many of you have been following the saga of my shoulder and what's going on with that. So we finally made an appointment with a doctor at Hadassah Ein Kerem Hospital. And I was sort of hoping that like the ambulance would pull up and we'd get to see Erakat like land or whatever at Hadassah Ein Kerem Hospital. But we went to the old wing kind of Hadassah Ein Kerem Hospital. And on the wall, these like beautiful, I don't know if it's real marble, but it's like marble looking walls are like all these names etched, right, Yishai? Like these all the way to the top of the wall and all the way down, names of people who were donors, significant donors to Hadassah Ein Kerem Hospital. And this is a hospital that was made by Jews. Now, certainly not just for Jews. Certainly in Hadassah's whole history, it has always treated anyone who needs treatment. It's a hospital, right? And we're not so cynical as to not treat people. So it's for everybody. But like, let's be honest, it was a hospital made in the Jewish state for Jewish people. And here comes, what's his face, Saeb Erakat, and he's like, give me treatment. And of course, Israel agrees, right? And that also has been a source of tremendous conflict. Is it right to be treating a person who has done so much bad to our people?
Right, like he himself has sent a lot of people to that hospital.
And some people who didn't even get to that hospital at all. Some
right.
people who went straight to the ground.
Here, Lou Weiss writes, and I just put it up on the screen, Erakat is the founder of the Martyrs Fund that gives $400 million every year to terrorists and their families to kill Jews. Also one of the founders of BDS, and he proudly proclaims that. Now he's
right.
begged to go to Hadassah. What a hypocrite.
Right.
So, but I just want to say one thing. A lot of people are like, don't treat him and all that. Should we treat him? Should we not treat him? I say let's not even go there. That's just a way to get caught up in a question of what's called virtue signaling. Like, is it right to treat him? Not right to treat him? Okay, so they're treating him so good, so he should live, but then he should go to jail. Meaning to say, let's not get into that small question of should we rescue him or not rescue him. That's okay. We're like that. We rescue people. I dare say a Jewish doctor would probably rescue Hitler. Okay, or in this case probably a Goebbels, which is more like what
better metaphor.
Better metaphor for who Erakat is. But that's really not the question. The question is, who is this guy and what has he done? And also, by the way, not only against Israel. I wrote this tweet, and a lot of people like that. I asked a simple question: do you see any Palestinian outpouring of prayer or support for Saeb Erakat? Nada.
Not that we've seen.
Nothing. Nobody cares. Nobody wants this guy. They know what he's part of. He's part of a regime that wants to suppress
right.
and suppress and take away their rights daily, torture them for if they say anything pro-Israel or
right.
pro-normalization.
There have been many Palestinian Authority residents and Gaza residents who've wanted Israeli medical treatment and who have received Israeli medical treatment. But he's been someone who has been against that. He doesn't want Palestinian Authority residents to go to Israel for treatment. It's like the first thing he does the second he doesn't feel well. And that kind of hypocrisy is not lost on anyone, not on us here in Israel and not in the Palestinian Authority either.
Right. So we just 1 second. We have
yep.
a shalom from Katamon, from Jerusalem, Katamon, from our good friend Ryan. Ryan is also a great videographer. Ryan, how's the image looking? Are you happy with the sound? Are you happy with the image? What about the lip syncing with the sound? Is it working well enough for you? So let me know what you think, my good friend Ryan. And looking forward to seeing you again. Speaking of that, Ryan, I might be heading to the beach tomorrow. So if you're interested,
the beach has opened up. Yes,
that's right. The beach has opened up because Corona has gone down.
Right.
Are you ready for that story, Malkah?
I don't have the numbers, but basically,
I think it's about 1,500 people.
Right. We're basically down to the kind of numbers we were seeing around July, which is very encouraging, especially given the fact that we all went through a second round of closure here. Our little guy, Yisrael, went back to school officially, and he's pretty happy to be back in school. Our two big ones are still at home doing Zoom school. I have to say I'm very proud of them, and I think that all the kids, I guess a lot of you probably out there also have kids who are in Zoom school, and I try to I don't try so hard, but I try to sometimes listen in on some of their classes, and I'm just I just get deer in headlights, and I kind of walk away.
Why?
Because it's hard. It's a hard way to learn. It's not like a beautiful movie set where they've set up all the lighting so pretty for you and like made sure everything is like exactly aesthetically right. It's like a teacher in their living room with a whiteboard who like has a window and like a little light, and they're standing at this angle, and their computer thing, their computer camera is this good or that good. It's not, and not to mention the fact that sometimes there's like a technical difficulty or their internet service
or here's
is a
the
little
best
bit
one:
off.
when one of the kids takes over the screen and starts
Scribbling?
writing all over the screen, scribbling all over the screen.
That doesn't happen so much to Leia, but that happens to Elazar.
But on the other hand, I want to say that I do think that there has been a learning of the technology.
Right.
Like I can see Elazar every day. Our 8-year-old is like, our 9-year-old. He's like every day. He's like, look at this. I've learned how to do this on the computer.
Yeah, it's
and this.
crazy.
And
I set up an email account for him like a couple years ago, and I've been viciously not giving it to him because I don't want.
I don't think it was vicious.
Militant,
maybe militant.
Yes.
Militantly not
give it to him,
Right.
not viciously.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just didn't want him to have it, and I like try to keep the kids away from all the things, but it's just impossible now. It's impossible to keep them away from the screens. I've lost the war, not just the battle.
No, but
lost the whole war.
But
I finally handed
wait.
over to him his email account so that he can, because even though he does a little bit play with some of the local friends next door, including a kid who already had coronavirus, so we know that he's probably safe for the next few months to play with. He plays just with like 2 boys who live basically right next door. He hasn't been hanging out so much with friends from around, so I opened up his email so he can write to his friends and send little emojis to his friends and do little Google Hangouts with them.
Yeah, that's what's so interesting. I'm always interested, like us grown-ups, Google chatting. Remember what was it called? ICQ. ICQ. Remember we used to chat. Oh
man, and you're just like, I can't believe I just sent you a message.
Right, and you were able to send links and stuff like that. Was a technology that we passed and are now like in WhatsApp or whatever and in chatting. Or Facebook chat, like they're one technology behind us, the kids, but it works for them, and it's just very interesting. I like to watch the progress of technology.
Elazar, he's 9. He just figured out yesterday how to create his own Zoom link and send it to his friends. He had a Zoom.
Right.
He created a Zoom. I did not help him at all.
Speaking of technology, we're being received, FYI, broadcast receiving okay in Australia, and I see there I think what looks like the Harbour Bridge in Sydney. Great and beautiful place. All right, folks. What else, Malkah, we have on the docket? What's?
Well, I just wanted to say, we were talking about Saeb Erakat and the policies of the Palestinian Authority and how that's gone, and I just want to say that Erakat's on his way out, and I don't mean that personally necessarily.
You don't mean his body's
I don't mean
on the way out,
that he's dying,
but his way of thinking.
I mean that he's on the way out, and here we have this is a tricky moment, right? Because I have an article here about Sudan possibly being the next country to normalize with Israel. And even though Saudi Arabia was like, oh no, like we're so far away from normalizing with Israel, there's still talk all the time. Like every other day, there's some kind of article, like little mysterious article about Saudi Arabia and what's going on. And you have here Mike Pompeo, who's the Secretary of State of the United States of America. And there's an article here about how he's saying that he hopes that Sudan will be the next and that to recognize Israel and that will be very soon. And here's what he says. He said that the United States wanted every nation, here's the quote, to recognize Israel, the rightful Jewish homeland, to acknowledge their fundamental right to exist as a country. I just love it. I just love it. I can't help it.
Did you tweet that yet?
I haven't tweeted that yet.
Take that.
No, I will. I should. I will. I'll send it to you and you can tweet it. One of us will tweet it.
That's very good.
But you have elections coming up, and America is like, I don't know, Americans. You can tell us. Comment here. We're live on StreamYard, and you can comment here about how you feel. We're also on Facebook and we're on Twitter. Is that where we broadcast live right now?
The StreamYard is the software behind it, but really it's Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and of course later on the Land of Israel Network as a podcast.
Right. So please feel free. Let us know, what is it like politically right now in America? My feeling is that it's like a powder keg over there. It really feels like America is so tense in the days coming up to this election. And I know that it's so sensitive and people have all their reasons for voting this way and for voting that way. To me, it seems like if you're voting, people vote, like everyone has their kind of list of priorities or their like calculation, how they arrive at who is their best candidate. Some people it's obvious, some people it's not so obvious. But I would say if you are voting because of Israel policy, if you're a person who like wants, if your number one thing is Israel and how it goes for Israel, I can't imagine not voting for another round of the Trump administration. I get it that it's not like such a cut and dry issue for a lot of people, and that there's other considerations, and that there's certainly like issues pertaining to how you feel things are going inside the United States and what's best for the future of the United States inside the United States. But if it's just this one issue that's like your real concern, you can't like make this stuff up. It's like you never saw such a, it's almost like philo-Semitism coming out of an American administration.
Yeah, I have to say, Malkah.
And it's like it would be smarter of me not to get political overly here because, you want to not, I certainly don't want to alienate anybody. And if we have Biden supporters who are listening to this show, I can understand you. But I have to say that, in the days coming up, as a person who cares about Israel, then I've been very impressed with this administration. Very impressed.
Yeah, I think it's
grateful.
I think it's definitely in the pro-Israel interest to vote for the Trump administration, but I think it's more than that. I think that we have a civilizational question coming right up, which is which way does like Western civilization go? Is it going towards the okay with China, okay with Iran, line up with the people that the Obama administration lined up with, which is the jihadists, the Islamists, the sellouts to like a Chinese takeover, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a civilizational question now. Now, President Trump may not be your cup of tea on a personal level.
Right. You may not want him to be like your uncle.
Right. Maybe.
Or maybe you would.
Or maybe you would, but maybe you won't. But I can understand if you won't. But I think in terms of policy, it's really a question of, is it going to be the countries that have a backbone of morality, of the Bible,
when you say morality, Yishai, I'm not sure that people...
Of individual freedoms, of economic liberties, of privacy as a concept, which I think today is the fight for privacy. Basically, it's, in my mind, when you're fighting against the Chinese takeover, you're also fighting for privacy. Privacy as a value. So like the individual person, think about it. Does China value privacy? Obviously not. It's a corporatized communist place where they get into your kishkis.
They suspect privacy.
Right, exactly. That's what they're if that's what they're like in their billion people, that's what they're like for the rest of the people in the world. And they're using technology to peer into our lives, and we have to suppress that instinct and rather still keep pushing for individual liberty and individual freedom, individual capitalistic economy, and a morality, which means that fairness that is still important, that the strong is not strength, and being able to dominate the weak is not the way that the world should be ruled, but rather every person has value, every person is important. And the whole host of ideas of the opposite of imperialism of the new kind, and rather national states, individual freedoms, individual liberties, and morality. These are the things. So to me right now, this is a absolutely what's the word I'm looking for here? It's a
critical juncture.
It's a critical juncture. It's a core decision that the United States. Now, the United States isn't everything. It's not everything, but as we have friends here right now in the broadcast from all over the world, nobody can deny that one of the main pumpers of the main broadcasters of values in this world today is the United States of America.
Right.
And so it affects us now here in Israel.
For the good and for the bad.
Right, for the good and for the bad. Correct.
Right.
Now here in Israel, we're a proud, independent country. and I in no way, pretend and want to be a 51st American state. No way, Jose. No way, Joe. But what I do want is the world to have that. So that Trump administration is pro-Israel, that's very good. And that means that they're anti-Iranian nuclear expansion. That means that they're anti-jihadism that comes out of the PA. That means that they're anti-Semitism that comes out through the United Nations and those kind of international bodies. These are all very important things. They want to recognize Jerusalem. They want to recognize Jewish rights in Judea and Samaria. These are gigantic things. These are huge things. And the other side, we know, see, the thing is about Biden is, we know where he's coming from. He's of the he's of the Obama administration.
Right.
Okay? And so we know what they did. Not to
mention the fact that we can look back at his own personal history as a career politician and see how he is basically talked about Israel, how he's talked about Jewish life in Judea and Samaria. Not like, for example, you have the United States, the current administration, the Trump administration, is talking about making some major international, quote-unquote, human rights organizations to dub them anti-Semitic. Because why? Because of their BDS policy. And where does the BDS policy come from? Where does the boycott, divest, and sanction policy idea come from? It says, well, the Jewish people are trying to live in this place called Judea and Samaria, which we all know is Palestine, and they're totally stealing it. So what we're going to do is not work with any businesses who have anything to do with Judea and Samaria, and like anything else that we can do to pressure Israel to get out of Judea and Samaria. So basically what you can say is that the United States administration today is working to define anti-Semitism in such a way as to also legitimize the rights of Jews in Judea and Samaria. Right? This is a very big thing. Now you have Joe Biden, who himself had major arguments with some of our most historical figures, with Menachem Begin, who he personally yelled at, right? And told him that he's I forget what the word is that he used, but something about creeping annexation or expansionist or something like that. Same thing with Golda Meir, the famous prime ministers, and that's the difference, right? You have one,
and remember what the Obama administration did. They created a deal with the Iranians in order to allow them to enrich uranium towards a nuclear bomb, and at the very last moment, when they were almost done with their administration, they pushed through an anti-Israel declaration at the Security Council.
Right, and they weren't super close with Israel. Also in the United Nations, always making Israel feel like at the last second the United States may not support us in the United Nations.
They made a Security Council resolution against us. They pushed it through.
So these are like fundamentally different outlooks toward Jews and toward Israel and toward our rights here in Judea and Samaria.
I guess it's like I'm looking at our background, and our background is so happy. Again, isn't that interesting? Like
our background on video.
Our background right now on video is like this, like the animals on the ark. And
we got. Let's see if I can point to it. We got the polar bear.
Yeah, we got the polar bear, and there's the horse, and there's the monkey. That's okay, Malkah. That's all right.
We'll tickle under the chin.
And there's a
nice moose.
There's a giraffe, and you're like it's something you put into nurseries, right? You ever wonder about that? You're like, hey, look, Noah's Ark. They're so happy. It's like
and you're like, whoa.
It's like, whoa, the world was being destroyed, and these were the remnants.
Yeah, this is like Who Got to Live.
Right. It's like it's not so happy, and in fact, like inside the ark, the animals and the humans were really not allowed to procreate because they were in a place of.
It was public.
Well, yes, and also there was death happening all around them, and the world was being the opposite of procreating. It was being destroyed. But then when they opened up the ark, they were commanded
to go out to be fruitful and multiply.
By the way, just interestingly enough, the ark landed in the mountain range of Ararat. Ararat used to belong to Armenia. That land was taken from Armenia by the Turks. The Turks, the Turkmen of Azerbaijan, Azeris, who are basically Turkmen, we're in a big conflict right now with Armenia over this place called Nagorno-Karabakh, and thank God I heard that there's like a ceasefire. That made me happy. But it was like it reminded me that the like a part of like where the world was reborn from Ararat is still very much in
Conflict.
in conflict. But my point is that we look at this ark and we think it's so happy, but there's a deluge, there's a cataclysm. A cataclysm. That's the translation of the word mabul in Greek is kataklysmos, something like that, which is like that's how the Septuagint translates it, which means like a cataclysm out there. And that's what the world is right now. There's something very beautiful. There are beautiful things happening, like the Abraham Accords, which I think are rising up just at a time where you have an American election, an Israeli tension. You have, accusations against Netanyahu. It's such a balagan, such a mess out there.
Any other administration would have gotten a Nobel Prize for this. All these leaders should get a Nobel Prize.
Now,
involved in this.
Interestingly enough, let's pick up a question from David Miller, who has a totally different take. David is writing in and he says, "Love you guys, but no way Trump is good for Israel. His failure as the American president has dramatically weakened America. What good are these gifts to Israel if the U.S. can't effectively stand behind Israel? Trump has completely failed in the Middle East, turning Syria over to Putin." But that happened under Obama. You think that's good for Israel? He's an absolute disaster. All right, so there you go. I'm happy.
Well, answer the question.
Well, I think we answered it throughout. But
right.
The Syria thing was 100%.
That's really not under.
That was
Trump
really
at
happened
all.
under Obama, and Putin came in and took over as a strong actor in the region, while America was not a strong actor. With regarding to America being weaker.
Is that true? Is it true that America's weaker?
America's more divided.
It seems to me that diplomatically America's on fire. I mean, right. It's true that Trump as a man is not like cool in the school of politics today. But like, are they not being successful in the type of work they're trying to achieve?
David, let me put it to you this way: Yishai Fleischer and Malkah Fleischer think that Trump is good for Israel and for the region, but so does MBZ. And MBD, well, not MBD. MBD is Mordechai ben David. So let's not get confused with that. You got MBZ, that's Mohammed ben Zayed, and MBS, Mohammed ben Salman. So the leader of the UAE, the leader of Saudi Arabia, and Yishai and Malkah Fleischer, we're all thinking in the same way. I don't know what to tell you, man. To us,
well, David responded that the Syria turnover did not happen under Obama. No,
remember the red line, the so-called red line, don't use chemical weapons, and then nothing happened, et cetera, et cetera. It was clear that Obama was not going to engage in Syria, and he didn't. And then another strong actor came in, a classic strong actor in this region, which is Russia.
Says he's arguing back, Yishai. He says, our allies don't trust us. Our enemies don't fear us. Bad. Is that true?
That is not the way I see it. But Malkah, we can't click on every message. David's got his perspective, and I appreciate the conversation very much. But our perspective is different, and that's the beauty of discussion and democracy, and that's what we're doing. But I do think that it is a civilizational moment, and I think that we have to definitely pray. We definitely have to pray. Shlomo Algera adds in, he says, "You mean brokering a peace treaty with the UAE and Bahrain, moving the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem, and recognizing Judea and Samaria as part of Israel, or taking out Qasem Soleimani that put Iran into a position to question twice to do these same actions?" Okay, we know the arguments. They're back and forth. Shlomo, excellent points. There have been great, in our perspective, there have been great achievement of this administration, and I urge people that want to know my opinion, because of course you're free to vote for who you want to.
You should certainly vote with your conscience, and
right.
And if you're voting for Biden, we love you and good luck, and we hope that everything works out for the very, very best for Americans within their country. That's for sure, and for the whole world, no matter what happens.
There's people here on this broadcast right now from Australia and from the Netherlands, and they're all looking. They're all looking right now, and I think that. We're all looking. Let us pray a little bit, friends. Yes. Now, let's bring it back to Israel. Israel is the land of blessings. It's the land from where we pray to God. All prayers come through the land of Israel. Let's pray a little bit. Let's pray that God guides us in the right direction.
We need a lot of mercy. We need mercy on this one.
Right. And let's for this Torah portion, let's imagine ourselves on that ark. Let's imagine ourselves saying, God, please stop this rain. Let the world come back to life. Let us land in the right place, in the safe place. Let us come out and procreate again and remake this world in a good image. So let's really think like that. That this is a moment to come out of that sukkah. We came out of the sukkah, which is an ark, and the world is still a kind of like it's still raining out there, and we want to live. And interestingly, here in Israel, we're actually praying for the rain because winter here in the land of Israel is when the things actually flourish. And I you know what, Malkah, this whole time I was like, there's one more thought that I wanted to cover before I forgot about it, which is the tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs in Hebron.
Okay.
Many times I look at it and I think, this is Noah's Ark. It's this, look at this building has never been destroyed. The temple was destroyed twice. The second temple that was built by the same man who built the tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs in Hebron was destroyed. But the tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs in Hebron never destroyed. And who's buried there? 2 by 2. 2 by 2. 2 by 2 they come in there. And really they are the Ark of the world. Okay, the Noah's Ark of the world. There's something about their vision and their faith in God which has withstood all vicissitudes and is a guiding principle in this world. And so to me, like, there's something about the Marat Machpelah, which is this immobile thing. There's something that can't be broken, can't be touched. And around it, all crazy world, including in the city of Hebron itself. But nothing can touch the core of the forefathers and mothers. And therefore, let me just throw up a banner here for the Jewish community of Hebron. That's the hebronfund.org. When you strengthen the Jewish community of Hebron, you're strengthening the tomb of the forefathers and mothers, and you're strengthening this thing, the message of the forefathers and mothers, which withstands the test of time, which is monotheism and morality in the service of God, and living a life in service of God. And I also want to recommend that people check out some of our other sponsors. Malkah, natural goodness comes from the Holy Land in the form of salves of Jerusalem.
Yes, I've been using salves of Jerusalem on my face at night. It's very, very nice, very soothing.
I want to recommend that they come out with a new product. That's right, rich and organic. You're right, sorry I cut you off. I want to recommend that they come out with a new product which is called Moses Glow, or just Mo Glow, okay? And you just
oh, you
shine
get the shiny
forth.
Face. That's funny.
Right, yeah, Mo Glow. It's called salvesofjerusalem.com.
Yes,
check that out. Our good friends at Blessed by Israel. Blessed, the word by.
B-U-Y.
B-U-Y, okay? The U is
Put
in the
the
by.
U in the
by. So that's blessedbyisrael.com. You put in coupon code Yishai, and what happens? You get 12% off.
Ooh.
And you know what? They just sent me a report. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars have been spent by viewers and listeners.
By the U in buy.
That's really neat.
Yes.
Check out, so that's blessedbyisrael.com. Check out also the best Jewish and Israeli news at jewishpress.com. You don't have to be Jewish to read jewishpress.com.
No.
And it's a great site that also promotes our show.
They have a great newsletter.
They have a great newsletter called the Jewish Express for Jewish Press. I came up with that years ago. And also our good friends at Tchelet. That's the biblical blue string is back.
Show them, Yishai. We're on video. Can you show them your blue strings?
Yes, there it is. Blue string.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that's chazak. That's the other Hebrew word which you already know from the show, which is chazak. You got to be strong. So that's some of our sponsors. And, of course, one of our great sponsors is the Land of Israel Network, landofisrael.com. And check out all our other shows, including all the other shows, which are really awesome. Malkah Fleischer, I want to really thank you so much for being with me today. I urge also people to check out YishaiFleischer.com for more of our conversations. And I really want to thank the good folks from all over the world who jumped in and talked, including my good friend Lou, who says, thank you, Yishai and Malkah. Video and sound looks really good now. And Shabbat Shalom.
Thanks, Lou.
Thanks, Lou. And thank you, friends from all over the world, for being with us. It is just such an awesome pleasure to use technology to be able to send. Oh, look at that. I didn't know I could do that. Oh, check that out. Whoa.
Whoa.
I didn't know I could do that.
We just increased our size on our screen here.
I want you to know that it is an incredible pleasure to be with you from all over the world. Special shout out to my good friend Eric, who's the man. My good friend Ari Silverman. My good friends in Northern California, the Knutsons, who are good friends. My good friends in Atlanta. I have so many friends all over the world. My good
we
friends
miss you guys.
in Switzerland.
We miss everybody.
I got the Michel family, who I love so much, who are so close to me, and close to us. And there's so many. I'm just not always used to having you on the screen here. So there are so many wonderful people that are part of our life, and it's incredible gift to be able to be part of your life. So let's stay connected. Let's show the love to one another. And sometimes during this deluge, this cataclysm, this maelstrom, and all these cool words, we really, the way that we show God that we want to be part of his world is by holding hands and by showing love for one another and by saying l'chaim, preferably on vodka. No, that's what I like, but you could say l'chaim on whatever you want.
On a wine from the land
on a
of
wine
Israel.
from the land of Israel. And I want you to just, this Friday night, say l'chaim to the land of Israel, to the good people of this world, and to life itself.
That's right. This is the parsha to really just be glad to be alive.
That's right. I'm just glad to be alive. That's exactly it.
Right.
I think that's what I'm going to call the show, Glad to be Alive. Noah, I'm glad to be alive. And I know that you're glad to be alive because if you're alive, that means that God wants you to be alive right now. So thank you so much for being with us. Lots of love and lots of blessings from the land of blessings. And Shalom Malkah, thank you so much for being with us. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.